Hello and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at this, the Gigabyte RTX 2080 Ti Gaming OC no less. Now the last video we made was actually the Aorus 2080 Super, so I'm quite pleased that we're now completing the set, because we did compare that against the 2080 Founders Edition as well, and everybody does like a full set. So let's take a closer look at this specific card. Now, much like the Aorus 2080 Super, this does have a 3-fan layout at the front. Now the fans themselves are slightly smaller than that on the Aorus card. These come in at 82mm, whereas on the Aorus they are 90. However, this central fan spins the opposite direction for what the marketing states reduces turbulence, which says to me that when they designed the cards, all the fans ran the same direction, but then they got a bit of wobble, so they had to get the central one going the opposite way just to stabilise the card. But I'm not an engineer, so how do I know? I am really. However, much like on the other card as well, the Aorus card, this does have a nice big heatsink. It's not 3 slots thick though, however. This is only the 2 this time round, but the heatsink is still remarkably big. It does have 6 composite copper heat pipes. I'm not sure of the difference between composite copper and copper. But anyway, they are direct touch with the actual IHS itself, just to keep that nice and cold. And there is a thermal plate, which is just a steel plate, to be fair, by the looks of it, that also covers the VRM and the MOSFETs. And the VRM on this is 13 plus 3 phase, so that's remarkably robust. And there are obviously the 2 8-pin connectors at the back, so it is a 2080 Ti after all. Now, like all 2080 Ti's, this does have 11GB of GDDR6 memory as well, which they're all the same with that. However, what's not the same with this is it is out of the box overclocked to 1650 MHz, whereas the reference card I believe is around 1545. In fact, I'm confident it's bang on. However, most cards you buy are slightly overclocked, so there's not a massive gain for you there. The 6% above the reference, but nothing really runs to reference anyway. Now this card itself is quite valued though, or good value, sorry. I was on Amazon this morning, so at the time of this recording, this does come in at £1,130, which isn't bad. The only other I found that was cheaper was from Pallet, and I read the reviews. They weren't very good. I couldn't give a review either way myself. I've never used that specific card. However, I would always recommend that you read the reviews. So this is quite good value as it stands, but it is normally quite an expensive card, so I would expect to see that price go back up. But all in all, it's very pretty. The design is very good, and I do very much like the backplate on this. Unlike the Aorus, this doesn't have a whacking great RGB there. It's just black and simply says Gigabyte. That's very, very good. I like subtlety. It works best, I find. It works very good. Now we will put this through the same test that we did the 2080 Founders Edition and the 2080 Super, just to see how much it decimates them both, to be honest, because I'd quite like to see the set on a chart. So we will have a quick look at that. I'm probably going to do a little bit of gaming with it as well, just out of sheer curiosity. But let's get on with the testing. As you can see on the front page for the testing, we are using the Ryzen 9 3950X. I haven't in any way overclocked this for any of the tests. I've just left it at stock with whatever BIOS I'm running. I think it's something 10, I don't know. But there you are, you see, we're using the 2080 Ti, and it says it's at 1350 MHz, so whatever that means. But either way, let's run the test. I know the purists out there will be annoyed that I am in fact running. As you see in the top right corner, I do have G-Sync turned on. It does recommend not to, but I figured I'd run these tests based purely on how the gamer would experience it, and you would be using G-Sync. Oh, I do love how smooth this actually looks with the 2080 Ti. We're up above 90 FPS. Epic stuff, epic stuff. Now we're on with the second graphics score. Staying above, well, around the 60 FPS mark at the start, which is very impressive. Oh, it does look so good. You can see the little bits inside the actual display cabinet. That's fantastic. Absolutely epic looking stuff. This is very, very good. I'm enjoying this to watch. I've never seen it run this smooth, so I'm quite giddy about it. The 2080 Super and the 2080 itself are both very good, and they are impressive cards. However, this is a different realm. We peaked above 100 FPS when I saw it. Well, I'm curious how good this is going to look. We will run the same test, so it will still run F1 2019, so I imagine that frame rate's going to be high, and then we'll move on to Tomb Raider. So on to Tomb Raider, as you can see, we are still running it at graphics high. Not highest, because that's not what we ran for the previous 2 cards, so we're sticking with that. But here we go, let's just get the benchmark running. I'm sure this will look great. Right off the bat, we're over 110 FPS. Now look at that. It looks absolutely astonishing. We're not even on the highest settings, but it looks absolutely remarkable. I might run a quick test with the highest settings just to let you know what it is at the end of the video, just out of sheer curiosity, but that does look great. I do love this scene as well. We're still above 100 FPS even in this scene, and it does look remarkable. I love the way the light comes colliding down through the canopy of the forest itself, or the jungle that they're in. Now this monitor only kicks out about 400 nits, so it's not HDR by any margin, but it does look fantastic. It does in fact look a bit better than it did previously, but that's probably just the smoothness, because we are ranging at around 109, 108 FPS. Very high. Now this scene typically is very high FPS as the camera comes swooping down towards the village, and as we can see we were pushing above 150 FPS at one point. So let's just move along to see what it's like in the actual village itself, where the guy's butchering the deer. That's a much more complicated scene. And you can see the frame rate start to drop beneath 100 FPS as it gets into the actual marketplace itself. I'm sure that's what this is. There's a chap butchering the animal. Very, very nice. But I do like this scene. It's a very good benchmark. I know that people don't like it, and I say this every time. It's only useful to compare against itself with other GPUs. Other than that, it's not really necessarily reflective of the game, but the game itself is remarkably optimized. That's very good. Let's have a look at the score. As expected, that came in remarkably high, averaging at 107 FPS, which left the other two, the 2080 Founders and the 2080 Super, in its wake. That's very impressive. Let's have a look at F1. So here we are on F1 2019 at Monaco as per the other test. Now sadly, I won't be able to show you the score from this. As you can see anyway in the top corner, we're locked at 120 on the G-Sync monitor, because that's the highest refresh rate that this monitor goes to, and that's when overclocked. Now on the FPS counter in the middle of the screen, it is at 188, it went up to then, and around 170. Now the reason I won't be able to show you the score will become apparent shortly. I'm unable to complete this benchmark. I can do other circuits and then I get this. So whammo, it just crashes out. So sadly I won't be able to compare the score of F1 2019, but we can see it stopped on 183, so remarkably higher, most likely. And there we are, the crash report. I've tried this so many times, I've tried troubleshooting the problem. Anywho, we'll move on and we'll have a look at the scores from the graphics test 1 and 2 from TimeSpy and Tomb Raider. So there we are. It's a crying shame about F1 at Monaco. I could get the benchmark running at Australia and a few other circuits. Definitely not at Azerbaijan and definitely not at Monaco, and I've worked on that for far too long. I'm curious now why it simply won't run at Monaco. Anyway, looking over the other scores, we did still get the first and second graphics tests from TimeSpy, and we have of course got Tomb Raider benchmark on there. I will add some more games to the portfolio at some point. However, getting on with these scores. So, graphics test 1 on TimeSpy, the 2080 Founders was 69.12 FPS, the 2080 Super was 72.46, the 2080 Ti 91.85. Now I've seen many videos on YouTube where the 2080 Ti just demolishes everything else, but to actually run the test myself feels it's remarkable. It's a very, very good card. So graphics test 2, the 2080 Founders was 63.63 FPS, the 2080 Super was 67.3 FPS, which was still a nice little bump up, but the 2080 Ti, that came in at 85.44 FPS on the TimeSpy second graphics score, so that's outstanding again, another absolute crushing. Now Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we've got the 2080 Founders Edition at 83 FPS, which was a good shout. Now bear in mind the settings on this is 3440 by 1440 as the resolution, and it's on graphics setting high, not the highest but high. That's just what I play the game on, so that's what I went with. Now so like I say, that's 83 FPS on the Founders Edition 2080, and the 2080 Super was 88 FPS. Now the 2080 Ti 107. Another absolute demolition of the other cards. Now that's why you pay the extra couple of £100, I guess. But anyway, now I did, just out of curiosity, because of the cooling solutions on both the 2080 Super and this being similar, the 2080 Super being slightly bigger. In fact, I did have a quick look at the thermals, and I'm sure I'm putting a little graphic on the screen as we speak. Now this is the results from the 2080 Ti. Now on the actual GPU temperatures, which is the pale blue line there, it came in at just under 70 degrees as the absolute peak temperature that it saw on TimeSpy. Now the 2080 Super, however, came in at just over 70. Now the margin is near as damn, it makes no difference. However, that still shows the cooling solution on this does in fact work. Maybe it's that central fan spinning backwards. Who knows? Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you did like this video, do please smash the like button. And if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.